shit, I'm sweating. Hey everybody, this is a surprise late stream. I was out in the garden setting up a fountain for the fish pond, which now sports frogs. And hey, why is my stream house so bad? Boy, my internet's real slow for a second. I don't know why. I hope that improves. Hey everybody! Let me know if I start to lag or anything. I might do. I don't know why my internet's gone slow all of a sudden. It's probably having a hot Sunday as well. I'm doing great, thank you. You'll have to excuse the sweat. I've been outside in the blazing sun. It's summer here in New Zealand, as you well know, on the other side of the world, for those non-flat earthers. I'm not clinging tenaciously to the underside of a huge disc. And today, I'm going to be eating some genuine Dutch Gouda. Hutchinson's is probably, actually, it's probably not even made in Holland. It seems like it is. Expedition #1 Dutch Delights. Here's the label, Hutchinson's. Is it in fact made in Holland? Imported by Hutchinson's Limited. So yeah, it probably is actually made in Holland. Good. So cheers everybody. You're sitting in a parking lot waiting to go inside a church to practice Christmas carols. Nice. Cool. Oh really? Where I can get ostrich meat? Awesome. Do they sell ostrich drumsticks though? That's what I want to know. Maybe I could arrange it. I'm pretty sure you guys want to see me roast a kobold leg, right? Hey Roger. Gouda is Gouda, yeah. So this Gouda it's an aged Gouda. It's a genuine wax sealed Gouda. No frills, no extra spices or herbs or anything. It is rich, smooth, very creamy. It's got a nice sort of firm bite to it. No crystal, but a hard rind to it. And yeah, it's got really good flavour. Very good after flavour as well. No sort of difference, much difference really between the start and the finish flavour, the after flavour, which is good. Kobold meat's probably like eating a boot. Well, we don't know. Nobody's ever seen what draconic flesh tastes like. I mean, it's part elemental, right? So, who knows? Probably tastes like mud. Minus 13 degrees Celsius there. Wow. Well, you'd be looking forward to global warming then, huh? Can you use carols as improvised ritual magic? Yes, absolutely. Particularly if you're a warlock and your patron is St. Christopher or St. Nick Christmas, or as we call him, Santa Claus. We're eating a boot, not Gouda for sure. Yeah. Christmas carol at Bard. Tastes like flame chicken. You think red dragons would be spicy? Maybe. Yeah. So, as a Christmas present to myself, and also because I plan on next year doing a lot more crafting and painting on the channel, which is how my channel started out in the first place. So I'll probably cut back on live streams. I'll probably just do the weekend live streams, and then Wednesdays I will devote to crafting. So it won't interrupt my normal Monster Ecology videos, my Demon series videos, my Dragon series videos, my Explorers series videos, or the character class series of videos, which is really slow. But what it'll allow me to do is just indulge my crafting hobby a bit more, because I'm really feeling the lack of sculpting and stuff in my life. So in tune with that, what I did was I restocked all of my paint, so I now have a complete set, like every single type of paint that Army Painter produces. I got their mega box set, and part of what I was doing out in the garden today was I've been cutting bamboo and gathering up bamboo, and last night I was thinking, I need some sort of a paint rack for all this stuff, and I don't think cardboard's going to cut it. So what I thought was, why don't I just put the paint pots inside bamboo, so I can cut. I've got like circular saw and stuff like that, so I can cut the bamboo to the right size. Yeah, I will craft Yub Tub. Santa Claus is your patron now. You have to go get some cheese. Yeah, go get some cheese, man. Oh, you're in the middle of making a map? I'm working on the video right now where it was me and Ian sitting down, and it's just an audio recording, an hour long, of us talking about creating the world of Scythrune. And so what I'm doing is I'm slowly but surely editing. I'm about halfway through it after a day and a bit of editing and adding all of the images and stuff to show what we're talking about as we develop the map of Scythrune. So it's just like paint. It's like watching somebody drawing on a whiteboard sort of thing, but even less animated. So for those who are interested in world building and are mainly audio listeners of the channel, it will be far more entertaining than those people who really love the artwork on the channel. Sorry, that's just the way it is. It's an hour-long video as well, so it's pretty good if you're on a long commute, or if you're crafting or painting, or if you're I don't know, working at a production line and you got your ears are free to indulge. So it's literally just like sitting at a table with me and Ian as we talk about creating a world, a D&D world. How's the weekend? The weekend's almost over. It's Sunday here, and it's blisteringly hot outside. I had to come in because it was just, it was too hot. I was setting up I was transplanting some seedlings into my garden. My garden's not doing very well. It's been devastated by birds. And I set up a fountain over top of the fish pond, which has now got frogs as well as goldfish. So yeah, the frogs have made their way up from the pond down in the orchard down below, down the hill, and yeah. You love artwork and your audio mostly. Yeah, I think most people listen to the audio more than pay much attention to the artwork, generally speaking. Escher gang from Necromunda. Cool. Wisconsin. Have some cheese, man. Yeah, it is summer in the south, in the southern hemisphere, where 15% of the world's population, I think it's 15% of the world's population, live. It's amazing to think that it's so top heavy, the population of the world. 26 there. First snow in North Carolina. North Carolina? Do you normally get snow in North Carolina? I suppose you might. Jeez, grommet. Yeah, so I've got shade cloth over top of the plants, but the birds got underneath the shade cloth and devastated the plants. They saw it as a protection from the hawks, which otherwise would have caused them to flit in and out of the garden. So, yeah. So next year what I'm going to do is I'm going to make some proper nailed down shade cloth lids that I can put over top of the raised garden beds. Or I will put up and construct some proper seed raising trays and things and raise them up to the point where they're kind of resistant to getting attacked by birds. North Carolina, the pansies on snow. I wouldn't know, I've never been to North Carolina. So yeah, this year I was a little bit late getting stuff into the garden anyway. It's now too late to try again, particularly for the peppers and things like that. I still have seed stocks of everything that I tried to grow. It looks like my salad garden may possibly grow enough for me to eat salad out of the garden. I've got quite a few plants there. So I just with that, it was just planting so many that they could absorb the losses. But as for the peppers, out of the 23 or so that I sowed, 2, possibly 3 are still alive. And I don't know what variety of peppers those are. Shade cloth, +5 AC for plants, full cover for birds. Yeah, I know, I reckon. Have you thought about falconry? No. Nah. Because, yeah, I actually don't mind the birds. Like, I don't mind that cats kill the chicks and the ducklings and things, and the falcons kill the ducklings and chicks and things, because it keeps the population of them down, and the ones that do survive are quite wily. And the falcons are a native bird of New Zealand, so the hawks, so they have every right to exist, and the birds and the cats just do what cats do. It's up to the owners next door. I would have wished that they would put a bell on their cat, but I mean, you can't blame a cat for hunting birds. That's what they do. So, you know, live and let live sort of thing. Kind of a druidic outlook. And as for my garden, I will adapt, and I will adapt to the conditions. It's my first year here, so and I came into it pretty late, and I wasn't prepared. I just wasn't prepared. As a regular dragon would be a planet invader and killed on sight. Planet invader, yeah. Oh, that's a good point actually. Somebody requested that I do a video. There's these dragons that rule over a world in Magic the Gathering. A giant killer kiwi. And so it's an interesting parallel, because the world of Toril has recently had a dramatic change, and that is the abolishment of the mythal, the Dragon Rage mythal that was tied to the King Killer Star, which is basically a comet. And what this means is that dragons are now free to associate and form long-term plans and re-establish themselves as empire, because they are a superior species on the planet who invaded and took over, and were only killed off by, well, basically Tarkir, exactly. So the Dragon Lords of Tarkir are a perfect case point example of what one possible future of Toril is. So you can, if I did a video on Tarkir, that would give you some idea of what a dragons taking over the world campaign end scenario would look like. So I thought that was a pretty interesting thing. Also, there was, I've had one comment from somebody saying I should stop doing Magic the Gathering stuff and just stick with D&D, and my answer to that is nah. I'm going to carry on doing Magic the Gathering stuff as long as I want, because I love Magic the Gathering as a setting. It's been included in the Dungeons and Dragons lore. It's only under the umbrella of the same parent company. And if you don't like it, don't use it. That's simple. So anybody who has future comments for don't do Magic the Gathering stuff, too bad. I'm gonna keep doing it. Also, the person who said don't do intros on your videos. I've always done intros. I love doing intros. Doing intros is one of my fun hobbies in the channel, so I will always make different intros for the videos. It's my channel. I'll do what I want. Yeah, man. Do what I want. I mean, you guys know that I love getting feedback from you, and I will try and make content for all of us. So not just stuff that I like to do, but also I like doing videos that you guys want to see. That's why I ask. Otherwise, I would just have a list of things and just methodically go through it. Love the art for the stream, yeah. I just grabbed it and threw it up there. I do what I do. Yeah, I mean, like, I've got exactly the same interests that you guys do. So, I mean, I always please somebody with whatever content I put out. There's always somebody who is like, oh, wow, flumps, you know. Oh, Rod of 7 Parts, and Miska, and the Queen of Chaos. Yeah, I should really do a video about the Rod of 7 Parts, because it's kind of important who the Wind Dukes of Aqua were. Or are. I'm not a hippie. I just I love being a YouTuber. You need to plan for possible disaster, such as being demonetized. So growing your own food is certainly a step in that direction. Moving out to the country where it's a lot cheaper is certainly a step in that direction. So you got to prepare yourself for things going real bad. You know, wisdom. Windukes, yeah, the Windukes. Yeah, who doesn't like flumps? Do more spell jamming? Yep. All of these things are on the cards. Why are metallic dragons so materialistic and greedy? I thought they were so supposed to be good. Well, they're still dragons. Like, goodness is relative in alignment, right? So, and also, all intelligent creatures have the capacity for evil in D&D. They've got the capacity for good and evil. Otherwise, they're not really freely intelligent, are they? It's not really a holistic society that they come from. That's what we call stinky farts, Windukes. We always talk about the rod of 7 parts, so I have plenty of questions. Oh, good. Well, question away, Keykeeper. Growing your own food because yummy. Yeah, I've recently discovered that the homegrown yogurt that I've been making, so I brew my own yogurt using cultures that I just pass on from one yogurt batch to another, is a hell of a lot healthier than the store-bought pots of yogurt that you buy. Like, I have no idea how long those pots of like Yoplait yogurt have been sitting on the shelf in the supermarket, but it's kind of dead by the time you eat it. It's just like eating dairy food, you know. But the yogurt that I'm brewing myself, whoo, you can tell that's alive because your digestive system just kicks into high gear, and you can just feel the health flowing through you. Hey Scott, well the stream's late anyway, it's okay. Yeah, most metallics won't eat you without good reason, but if you annoy a metallic dragon, it will still eat you like the rodent that you are. And bear in mind that dragons don't have the same sort of appetite, generally speaking, as mammals do. They can subsist if they're sitting on top of their treasure pile. They can sit for quite a long time without needing to eat anything. Dragons can eat almost anything anyway. Sourdough, yeah, for sure. Like, I'm getting really into cooking for myself these days because living out in the country, obviously you don't have access to KFC, McDonald's, that sort of thing. So I cook my own meals. Generally speaking, I'm really, really lazy. Being an ex-chef of 14 years, I know how to make a tasty snack real quick. Like, I can cook a meal in about 3 minutes using pre-prepared ingredients. Otherwise, it takes me no longer than 20 minutes or so to make like beef stroganoff or spaghetti bolognese or whatever. Depends on whether there's stuff that needs to sit. If a player plays as a hexblade, would it make sense for a sword to eat souls to try summoning strong undead? Does that sound like a good trade? Levels up. Oh, sorry. His sword eats souls. Try to explain how he levels up and sacrifice XP to summon strong undead. Does that sound like a good trade? Yeah. Like, if there's some sort of explain how he levels up. So he needs to keep killing people to level up. Is that what you're saying with a sword? Well, that might be problematic for your DM if the DM, because that's kind of constantly pressures your DM to give you minions that you can kill off to power up your sword, and essentially it was more interesting if your character is kind of against killing and they have a sword and their fate, their advancement is tied up with killing, so it causes a conflict with their very nature. So that's kind of interesting. But if it's a character that just has no problem with killing whatsoever, and the mechanic of the game is that they level up by killing things, well, then you've essentially got a murder beast, a psychopath. And your DM might quite possibly say, what alignment is your character? And you'll say something like neutral good or chaotic neutral or something. And they'd say, nah, your character's evil. And no, I don't want any evil player characters in my game. They're within their right to say that. So, Hexblade Necromancer is a combination which is fraught with role-playing dangers. Red flags for DMs, and with good reason. They can be really disruptive to a game because the DM has a story to tell. Yeah, Gouda. So, you know, make the characters that you want to play. And I was just talking with Bryce the other day about how he could instantly tell the difference between an experienced role player who's played a lot of characters and a lot of campaigns. I wouldn't mind making a D&D cooking show, honestly. That'd be fun. So, an experienced player, an experienced DM are very flexible. They're very like, yeah, all right. They just generally work around anything that they come up with. New starting off DMs are very tentative about what sort of characters the players should play, and that's okay. I would even suggest, if you're really worried about what the character combinations and stuff are, make up some pre-rolled characters. Say, look, here's a spread of pre-rolled characters that I approve for this campaign. You can pick and choose which one you want to play. Add in, like, the players should add in things like flaws and personality and things like that, but just the basic mechanics and things, yeah. And flexible, experienced role players will be absolutely fine with that. They'll be fine with picking up a pre-rolled character and just rolling with it, because they've seen it all before, and they realize that it doesn't really matter an overly large amount what character you are playing. As long as you're actually playing and having fun, you can play any character class, any character combination, any sort of personality. That's not really the pivotal point of what a D&D game is all about. I mean, it can be, but when that character dies horribly, hey, thanks Tommy Wood. When that character dies horribly, that 10-page backstory is just an extra weight of wasted effort. It's just going to hurt you more the more effort you put into that backstory on that character. It's going to hurt. So if you're playing something like Lamentations of Flame Princess or something like that, where the death rate is usually pretty high, you'll notice that people don't spend a lot of time making up their characters. They're just like, roll, roll, roll. Yeah, his name's Jim and he's a magic user. Bah! And off you go, and you're off and running. And then when Jim dies horribly, it's like, oh my god, that was fantastic. And Jim, like Robert Paulson, his name will only be known in death. Jim, how did he die? Oh yeah, he was exploded by a fairy mushroom that he ate that expanded to enormous size because it was a mushroom of growth, but just the mushroom, not anything else. Celtic Inigo Montoya. Nice. Yep. Chaotic alignments in general can be problematic. Lawful alignments are easy to deal with because they're following a set code. And people are very down on like lawful good as an alignment. Lawful good isn't like goody two shoes. Lawful good characters can be quite badass. Like for instance, if you've got a party full of mostly neutral good and chaotic good characters, and they've got a lawful good character with them, the general vibe of goodness is on par with everybody else. But as soon as they get into a problem where the chaotic and the neutral characters are conflicting with the laws of the land because they find the laws to be corrupt or something like that, that's when the lawful good character is going to turn around and kick them in the ass and say, no, you can't just disregard the law. The law applies to everyone. And here's where that aspect of goodness butts in with law. If you're outside of the system, even though you think you're doing good, what about somebody who's deranged or psychotic or something, and they step outside of the system because they think they're doing good, but their grip on reality is broken? Or if they're corrupt and they step outside of the system, then it falls apart for everyone. So you're not better than anybody else. You're not an exception to the rule. Everybody has to obey the law. And if you don't like the law, then you have to work with everyone to change it. That's the lawful good character. So it's not necessarily stupid. They have a reason for doing it. They are lawful. But they're doing it because it's the greater good. It's the general good. You know, it's the good of civilization. That's what they're representing. Otherwise, it's just anarchy and chaos, or individuality and selfishness. Because you could look at true neutral as a selfish person. They only care about their causes and their situation and what affects them. their status quo, their comfort zone. Yeah, so a lawful good character who lives in an immoral society upholds immoral laws. But, you know, they may have a conflict where they realize that laws are immoral and their lawful nature forces them to follow them, but their good nature forces them to need to change them. So that's where you get lawful good characters who are actually fighting against the power. So they may depose the current leadership and take over the leadership. That's why you get paladins and things who rise up through the ranks and become lords of the land and eventually lead insurrections and stuff and fight against the corrupt despotic kingdom. So they can be really shit-kicking, you know. They can be really interesting characters. Well, Dread is a perfect example of a true neutral character. He's a neutral. He's not neutral good, he's not neutral evil, he's just true neutral, or a lawful neutral character. So he obeys the law and that's it. The law is the law. He doesn't question it, he just enforces it. So that's Judge Dredd. Yeah, be wary of lawful neutral characters. Yeah, he is the law. Neutral evil represents all politicians. I don't know. All I know about politics is I want to stay the hell out of it. I had my taste of politics in university, and I didn't like it. Your favorite alignment is lawful evil? Yeah. I mean, that being said, lawful, as you get more experience with the game, you pay less attention to alignments. And a lot of people don't even use alignment at all. If a player group wants to become gods, how would they do it? Do they just hold the entire world population hostage and say, make me a god or everyone die? Yes, yes. They can do that. It depends on the setting. If you're in a homebrew setting and stuff, it can be purely faith-based. So reputation and things. Like in the world of Scythrine that Ian and I are creating, the more reputation, the more renown a character gets, the more supernatural sort of ability they acquire. And it's irregardless of whether they want it or not. And that can be interesting. And a character might get it a little bit too soon. Like they may not have the power to back up their claims of godhood. And then when another greater entity comes a-calling, kind of like a six-shooter showdown of the Wild West between two uprising powers, they may die horribly. It's a trap. Yeah, anybody who's played basic D&D, for instance, Ascension is built into that, with the Master Series rules. So, how did it go? Went basic, companion, expert. No, basic? Yeah, basic, companion, expert, or basic, expert, companion. There's an acronym for it, and then Master, where you become immortals. So, in D&D, it's a lot easier to become an immortal than it is to become a god. And the joke is Heath Ledger, is he chaotic evil or chaotic neutral? He was chaotic evil, for sure. I would even say he was neutral evil in a way, because he didn't care about anything, and in a way his lack of caring for anything was projected onto everyone else, to the point where he mocked anyone's beliefs and would turn them against them. For instance, he became obsessed with Batman's refusal to kill, to the point where he did things to the point where he would force Batman to kill him, just to prove a point. So that's psychotic and very, very selfish. It's totally narcissistic, really. And the fact that he did everything publicly, so he's narcissistic. He wanted to be seen. Chaotic evil, yeah. Yeah, exactly. Once you're immortal, you have plenty of time to become a god. So in that respect, once you're immortal, you've definitely caught the god's attention, and you will start to become aware of divine politics at play, because you'll see them at work in the world around you. This is Dutch Gouda. Very, very nice, mild Dutch Gouda that I'm munching away on here. What was my best character? Changes every day. I've had many, many good characters. Let's see. I really did like Belchimerol, who was a Scion in 3.5 edition, who rose to godhood himself, actually, talking about it. Thanks, Tracy. You need an immortal patron. Yeah, I would agree. That's another good aspect for using gold dragons, metallic dragons, and things like that. So once you become an immortal, a gold dragon would be more willing to have a conversation with you about the greater effect that you're having on the world, because they're top of the good dragon pecking order. So in many ways, they're kind of in charge of draconic society. And silver dragons have more of an active role in the patrolling and marshalling and questing and expansion of draconic society. So silver dragons are good and they love humanity, but they can go off on draconic business and ignore humanity for quite some time, which is problematic when they're trying to form relationships with short-lived humans. So they'll end up having relationships with towns or families of humans. And another good case in point is like bronze dragons, for instance, who will keep relics of particular families, and they'll keep mementos of momentous individuals who occurred during their life of mortal races. So they'll acquire a immortals hall of memorabilia, kind of like Duncan MacLeod from Highlander had a room full of priceless artifacts from history, but they were the history of his life. Same sort of thing with the Bronze Dragon. The Bronze Dragon's treasure room will not be looted treasures per se. Every single item in there will have a story and an individual that they are nostalgically remembering every time they look at that shield, sword, or something. So when they turn up and give an artifact to an adventurer, it will be because they knew one of the ancestors of that family. So it's kind of important. So that's like you become a storied individual, a hero. You become part of that item's life story as well. So you become part of the provenance of a powerful magical item or something like that. And historians, scholars, sages love that sort of stuff. You know, they love learning the story of the sword of 7 veils. You know. Do you like Vector did and be pen pals with the serpent? Yeah, I guess so. You could be. Yeah, it's reported that Vector was tutored by an immortal serpent. Yeah, trickery deities are really cool. I had so much fun turning the tables on a player character that was trying to trick a god of trickery once. Led to one of the best traps ever. Yeah, dragons are not just greedy lizards. And I like the idea of their greed having a reason, a biological reason, as well as a personality reason. So, like a bronze dragon is a good dragon, it's a good metallic dragon. But, say, in this scenario, the bronze dragon has had an artifact from its hoard stolen by rival kobolds for a chromatic dragon. And then when you raid that chromatic dragon's lair and kill it and steal its hoard, the bronze dragon then sends a letter to the party saying, this prized possession that you have, the most powerful item in that hoard that your character now dearly loves, is mine, was never yours to take, and I would like it back, please. And then the character says, I'll get back to you. Then you've got a bronze dragon which will hunt you down and kill you and take your stuff. Or maybe hire somebody to waylay you and steal the thing back off you. So it may work in the background, not really wanting to kill you per se, but its end objective is to reacquire something which has personal value to that dragon. Not just the monetary value of that item, but the provenance of it as well. Perhaps it's part of some long-running scheme where it was nurturing a bloodline of people until a hero re-emerges that can vanquish something which comes out of a crypt every 100 years and only a member of that bloodline can kill it. You know, long view of the reality around you. Never piss off a dragon. Yeah, pay attention to when a dragon says, you know, I need something from you. What do I think of ghost dragons? Yeah. I like them more like the idea of a spirit of the land. So dragons absorb elemental power during their life, and when they die, they go back into the environment. Think of them as like Jedi Force ghosts, like Yoda and stuff, showing up and having a chat with Luke. Dragons can kind of be like that. They're dispersed into the environment. They don't go to an afterlife per se. How scary are the angel from Evangelion? I don't really like Evangelion. Just give the dragon back his stuff. Yeah. Would a world like Toril taken over by metallic dragons be a better place to live for good aligned humanoids? Now we get down to what it really means to live underneath the draconic rule. Here's back when I was talking about kobolds, for instance. Kobolds are evil to mammals. They're not evil to dragons. Even a kobold that serves a chromatic dragon is not seen as an evil shit by metallic dragons. They're seen as cute little helpers. So they are the gnomes, you know, the little house elves, the pixies of dragon kind. So dragons don't see kobolds as being evil. Humanoids certainly do. You know, humanoid mammals certainly do. Even some dragonborn certainly do. Because of their mammalian ancestry. Dragons don't see kobolds as evil. Also, dragons do occasionally deal with chromatic dragons. They don't automatically conflict metallic and chromatic all the time. So a gold dragon may deal with a green dragon, for instance, or a silver dragon may hire some brute white dragons to deal with a particular problem. So dragons don't see themselves as inherently metallic dragons don't believe that all chromatic dragons should die. They believe that chromatic dragons have a right to exist. So yeah, in a society where you've got dragons who rule over everything, killing any dragon would be illegal. Essentially, you could petition the metallic dragons, hey man, this black dragon is like killing way too many of us, and if it impacts on that metallic dragon's view of how reality should be, it may deal with the black dragon itself. But it will probably just be a reprimand or move on or something like that. But of course, dragons have their own pecking order, their own society, their own mating rituals and all that sort of stuff. And again, if you get in the way of that, you'll probably get killed on the wayside. Just, you know, civilian losses, collateral casualties. If two silver dragons are fighting over the love affair with another silver dragon, for instance, and they just accidentally take that fight to a human village, that human village may get completely decimated and many people will die. But they won't care. They're too involved in their own activity. Well, you know, they'll probably compensate, you know. But it's poor consolation to the poor humans. And as dragon society rises and becomes more and more dominant, their concerns for the little mortal mammal people will slowly slacken away. You know. You take a Copper Dragon Overlord? Yeah. Copper Dragons will be fun. Dragons certainly have been pulling the strings, but they haven't been working together in close proximity because of the Dragon Rage on Toril anyway. Eberron's got its own dragon continent. So that's one way that you can test out the idea of what a draconic society would be like. And one thing that you notice about Eberron in the literature and stuff is that you got to be real careful when you go to Arganessen because dragons rule there. Sup, Greenscythe? Long time no see. Fusroda. Fusroda. What would happen if a chromatic and a metallic dragon had a baby? Would it be a half-breed? Also, if a dragon's soul is trapped by fading, put into the human body, what the... It's a bit mangled there. You're using, like, talk-to-text or something. So, dragons can interbreed. It may be... It's really however you want it to go. Like, if you had a... you could have a... What? A silver and a blue dragon could have a bronze dragon baby, for instance. Or it could be a silver or a blue dragon. It could be a silver dragon with blue dragon horn and electrical ability. You know. They're an entirely different breed of creature. Presumably they have DNA, but I don't know. It's anybody's guess. Yeah, the elves did it for a reason. Like the ability of dragons to outbreed giants was probably, the writing was probably on the wall for the war between the dragons and the giants, and the elves didn't want to live under the yoke of the dragons anymore. And the dwarves, well, the dwarves kind of had acclimatized to being the toadies of the giants, in so much as that their society, their culture is based on giant culture. Oh, Morgan. Well, yeah, I mean, who knows? It would be awesome to see if there was like an incursion of demons into the D&D world and it ran out of control of the player characters, and the player characters basically just turned tide and ran. And then as a DM, you're describing them cresting a hill and looking back on the city that they've abandoned because of their failure to stop a demon incursion. And then basically a squadron, a flight of dragons descends on the place and does battle with demons in a way that humans never could. You know, that would be epic to see. It's like, yeah, you live in a world where these creatures, there are higher powers guarding the world than humanity. You know, all the civilized races. That's a great idea, Robert. A cult of orcas using an abandoned fortress in a peat bog as a spa for the undead. Yeah, they get preserved by tar, you know, rubbing tar and stuff over their body. That's a great idea. Metallic and chromatic dragon have a baby, the heretical offspring will be destroyed. Well, it's more than likely that the chromatic dragons would actually kill the baby than the metallics. You know. Because that would be against the will of Tiamat. Tiamat is really isolationist. She doesn't like the metallic dragons. Well, yeah, the demons and the devils, certainly. But not necessarily. I mean, demons can propagate really quickly, faster than devils can mobilize. So Eberron, for instance, that was taken over by by demons at one point. So in a way, I wonder actually if you wanted to have somebody travel temporarily to Eberron, they could teleport to the Abyss and actually pop out onto Eberron, into the Kyber tunnels of Eberron, underground in Eberron, which is still somehow linked to the Abyss when the demons took it over. Like, say there's a leak and one of the coatl prisons of the demon lords that are trapped there is leached out a bit, and it's re-established itself a Wi-Fi connection with the Abyss, and you pop out. You think you're going to the Abyss, but in actual fact, you pop out into Eberron. Now the trick is, how do you get back? And you're explaining to the local sages and mages of Eberron, well, no, there's other spheres of existence. There's other worlds out there. I came from one of them, and they're like, no, it's impossible. There's no outside of Eberron. You came from Kyber. That's where you came from. So you're a tool of the evil ones. Well, the Yugoloths, it's in their best interest that the Blood War keep going, because it's garnered them enormous, huge amounts of wealth, playing both sides. So they don't want their enemies to totally kill each other. Carry on killing each other, sure. Slip secrets surreptitiously to both sides to keep the conflict going. But it's a dangerous game. The chromatic dragon god is racist. Impeach now. Yeah, impeach Tiamat. Would that make a great t-shirt for Christmas? Impeach Tiamat. Oh, okay, I think I've reached my limit on cheese. Gnomes rock. I'm playing a forest gnome druid right now. Nice. Giant golem armies to rule the world. Yeah. Impeach Tiamat. Alright. Taking the cheese away. No more cheese. Yeah, Yugoloths are cads, for sure. Demodans are another form of lower plane creature, similar to Yugoloths in a way. Like, physically, power-wise, they're kind of similar to Yugoloths, but they have a totally different origin story. Yugoloths were created in order to be free of the constraints of devil kind. And so, free of the constraints that the celestial court put on devils, I should say, and they're free of the corruption and tie to the abyss of demons. So they're neutral parties. Originally, they could be controlled because there was a book owned by a very powerful hag. It was hags that created the Yugoloths in the first place. So this hag had these books, the series of books with all of the names of the Yugoloth, so that they could be summoned and controlled and hired and used. And obviously the Yugoloths did not like this. The other name for the Yugoloths is daemons. Demodans are native to like Hades and planes, lower planes like that. I think it's Hades. Could be Hades. Could be somewhere else. So I've got to do a video on them at some point as well. Have I ever run a campaign with elementals or elemental lords as the focus, like a campaign where the elementals are out of control and such, crazy weather conditions, etc.? I always involve elementals somewhere along the line, because I really like the idea of them as alien creatures. So alien spirit entities that infest inanimate objects and matter, and they're so important to the genesis of so many different the fantastical D&D creatures. Like, without elementals, you wouldn't have dragons, you wouldn't have genasi, you wouldn't have genies, and And without genies, you wouldn't have the Wind Dukes of Aqua, and you wouldn't have the Rod of Seven Parts. So you wouldn't have the events that led to the development of demons, or the Tanari. You know. Matt Damon. Halflings and gnomes are like psycho ninja chimpanzees. Nothing to be trifled with. Yeah, that's true. So one of the things that I love about halflings and gnomes is using sports science, right? You can work out what the muscle strength of halflings and gnomes is, and they're really quite strong. Like, for their size, they're way, way stronger than the child size that they represent. Halflings are bastardized gnomes in your book? Yeah, it's true, Chase. I was really late starting the stream this weekend. Also, just for those of you who have just joined, I see there's 73 of you with me now. Hi, everybody. I'm not going to be doing any of the Wednesday live streams for a while, probably till next year, just because I want to concentrate on doing some crafting and painting and stuff like that. Also, coming up on, I think, February, they start to deliver the next Bones Kickstarter, the most recent Bones Kickstarter. So I'll be giving you a walkthrough video of unboxing of that stuff as well that I got, because I got quite a substantial load of miniatures. And really the only reason why I own miniatures now, living out in the wop-wops as I do, is to show you guys and to paint them for a hobby, because I've got nobody physically around here to play D&D with. Sad. But I love minis for their own sake, so yeah. And I'm ever building my collection of minis. Who would win a fight, a Pit Fiend, a Balor, or an Ultraloth? The Ultraloth would not get in that fight in the first place, and the Balor would probably win. Balor are a lot bigger than Pit Fiends. Like on a one-on-one all-out scrap, yeah, the Balor would wipe the floor with a Pit Fiend. But that being said, the Pit Fiend would have quite a resourceful collection of, like, no Pit Fiend is the same, no Balor is the same, there's no stock standard Pit Fiend or Balor. That's an illusion. Yeah, painting and crafting live streams, probably, yes, next year. Probably a lot of, like, sped up time lapse of painting and crafting and things like that, where I'm doing a voiceover and describing what I'm doing. Yeah, maybe slowing down at particular points as I show a specific technique, but as I'm repeating that technique over and over again to build up something. Like if I'll show you how to make a scale, and then there'll be a time lapse of me covering something in scales and stuff, that sort of thing. Balor are scary. Fantasy Grounds, AJ? Yeah, I do play via Discord, so you're going to pretty soon, Roger, you'll see me uploading the sessions on Discord where I am actually playing D&D. I'm running a D&D game in Sigil. It's a planescaping type of game. Currently, the patrons of the channel, those who are patrons of mine, they are currently watching the first 3 episodes of that. I'm about to, as soon as I finish the stream, actually, I'm going to start editing and putting together the 3rd session, and then after that's uploaded, I'll start uploading them as we play them. So I'll upload the 4th session, and that'll be the first one that non-patrons get to see. Patrons will get to see it a little bit before everybody else does. Play D&D with birds. What am I, St. Francis of Assisi? Hey Thomas, thank you. Cheers mate, found your channel about 3 weeks ago and listened to like 100 vids in the meantime. Also, did you ever play GURPS? No, I haven't actually ever played GURPS. GURPS is a really good system though. It's super old, like it's super old school. It's been around for so long. In many ways, there has always been this sort of bubbling argument with old school players about what is the original megaversal system, what is the first universal rule system. And these days, I would argue that D&D is actually a universal rule system. You can run any sort of campaign with it. Previously, no, it wasn't. And there was kind of like a battle between GURPS and Palladium, for instance, like Palladium Fantasy and Palladium, which became Rifts. So, yeah. And then you've got other story-based games sort of became more and more prevalent over time as well. But yeah, GURPS has always been a really fascinating thing, and I've never actually played it. Yeah, Drizzt is Mary Sue. It's kind of true. It's interesting that Drizzt was never R.A. Salvatore's idea of who the main character was. The main character of those books was Wulfgar the Barbarian. How powerful is Drizzt's Panther? It's more powerful than a regular figurine of wondrous power, that's for sure. Like, a regular figurine of wondrous power can't transport you, the user, to the astral plane with the creature. Yeah, so it's a unique artifact, that's for sure. What can take on a dragon one-on-one? A behir, a rock, a storm giant? Lots of things, really. Herps. Could a person combine a planescape cosmological model and a spelljammer setting? Absolutely. They're really designed to work hand to hand with each other. And that is the default setting of D&D. So planescape does not exclude spelljammer, and spelljammer does not exclude planescape. They work nested within each other like Russian dolls. Pretty sure Drizzt isn't a Mary Sue. Still, he's lucky as all heck, I will admit that. Yeah. Guinevere is a celestial diapanther. Yeah, I'd agree. GURPS. Balors are strong and tactically intelligent. However, pit fiends are far more cunning and have more diversity in their magic. Yeah, that's true in general. Like, on paper, it is true. Guinevere is, yeah, I would agree that Guinevere is totally unique. Well, she is kind of celestial in that, like, when she goes over to her plane of existence, which happens a couple of times, particularly in the first few books that Salvatore wrote. So Exile and Sojourn and stuff came after, but the first one was the Crystal Shard, and then the Halfling's Gem, and then Streams of Silver, I believe. I think those were his first 3 books that he wrote for Wizards of the Coast. And in that, Guinevere definitely did some stuff which is not normal for a figurine of wondrous power. And that's fine. And he said himself, look, I just write the stories, let the rules lawyers worry about the rules. And that is totally fine. In many ways, I would prefer an author who played a little bit loose with the rules, because, you know, if you know a lot about D&D, then how are you going to get surprised by stuff? Things that Guinevere and Drizzt did in those first books were refreshingly different. Like, I was like, wow! It blew my mind. It was really cool. Dire Kraken? Isn't a kraken like a dire squid? Think about it. Yeah, that's how she was described. Yeah, she was more celestial. Like, she had a life on. Like, she didn't just disappear. She wasn't a magical construct. She was an astral entity that got pulled into the world by the figurine of wondrous power. Are there items in D&D, magic items, that can make a player character a god? Yeah, there's the spindle. There is this artifact called the spindle, which is Raxavort has stolen it, and he uses it to constantly generate. He's changed himself into a god of the Zvarts. So yeah, there's this object called the spindle you should look into. And look at my video on the Zvarts, and that will give you some more information on that sort of magical item. A dire kraken, yeah, Zvart. Thank you. Not even demons are evil enough to write tap tunes, rap tunes, crap tunes. Fourth said Grast was a devil who decided to be a demon lord. Yeah. He's kind of like a half-breed. Haven't seen the entire Ravnica book, so anyone that has, does it have conversion instructions for Magic Gathering cards to Dungeons & Dragons? Well, let's have a look, shall we? I happen to have it on D&D Beyond. I'm kind of curious myself. D&D Beyond. I don't think so, but I don't know for sure. Guild Master's Guide to Ravnica. By the way, Wizards of the Coast, I'd really love it if you gave me a full collection of your online D&D books. That'd be great. Thanks, considering how much promotion I do for you. Magic charms, coins and treasure, magic items, guild and magic items, guild key rune, guild signet, illusionist braziers, arrows and warrior staff. Creatures by guild, bestiary, stat blocks by creature type, NPCs for the guild, Simic Combine, Krinko's Way, oh that's different, guild-based adventures, choosing a guild involving the characters, complications, Azorius Senate, Boris Legion, House Demir, Golgari Swarm, Go Golgari, Beneath the Streets, the different precincts, Simic Scientists, Simic Spells, Simic Characters, Selesnya Conclave, Cult of Rakdos, doesn't look like it on the surface, just going by the index, character creation. I will be doing videos on the Loxodon, the Vidalcan, the Simic hybrids, goblins as player characters, minotaurs, centaurs, that sort of thing. Well, I've done a video on the centaurs. And I will be doing videos on the various guilds and Ravnica in general, particularly Ravnican history, mainly. That's of more interest to me. But as for doing a conversion of Magic the Gathering cards, are you talking about like the attack and the defensive health power of your cards? Because it's really bare bones when you think about it. So when did they steal Rakes of Ort from Greyhawk? It's not stealing per se. Borrowing, expanding the lore of Rakes of Ort. I mean, he did flee across the Megaverse, so I mean, it's kind of implied that he went to different planes of existence. Hey, Carlos. Oh, thanks, Michael. No, I don't need a digital copy of things. I was just like throwing a dig at Wizards of the Coast. I have a very extensive collection of different things. Sorry, Danny. Borrowing without permission. They're in this Greyhawk box set. Yeah. Yeah, Cthulhu is awesome. Cthulhu's got a particular vibe to it. Some people really love playing those games over and over again. I can deal with Cthulhu once every now and then. Same thing with Paranoia. I can play a game of Paranoia once every now and then. Coffee, yeah, always. Coffee always. And I'm also sweating. My room is starting to heat up. I'm going to soon need to open up every window in the house as we top about 25 degrees outside. And yeah. Grass is a black-blue planeswalker. I would agree. What are the Elder Evils? Are you messing with me, Carlos? Is that a messing with me question? Elder Evils. So, immortal big bad evil guys. I'm still going, but how does a multiverse die if it's literally infinite? Shouldn't there always be some life? That is in reference to a comment made at a previous live stream. So Danny, yeah, there's always some remnant of a multiverse that exists. So for instance, where the Oberynth came from originally, so the Oberynth came from a dying multiverse, but that just means it was unable to sustain any life at all. So all law and stability had broken down under the despotic rule of the Oberynth, who could manipulate it any way they saw fit, and they were evil, despotic creatures. So in many ways, the reason why they corrupt everything they touch is because that's just built into them. They evolved to the point where they could manipulate reality like a biological function, which is how demons manage to make bodies for their spiritual force all the time. So they're corrupted elementals. So the elementals of this multiverse had completely wasted the place, destroyed it, turned it into a nightmarish realm. So that at the tail end of that was what they were used to, this nightmarish maelstrom of screaming evil, and it was getting too chaotic to support even them, so they had to leave. So the most powerful of them punched through the far realm and came through into the prime material universe and bore a hole into it, which was a network of demi-realms which burst through the planar barriers between different dimensions and became the Abyss. So the Abyss is alive. It's a corrupted elemental creature in a way, which has been shown in the past when it defended itself. So in theory, the realm that the Oberynth came from still exists. It may even be the demi-realm that Tharizdun is trapped in, for instance. So he thinks that he's in the regular multiverse, and he thinks he's reduced everything to destruction. He's destroyed everything, reduced it back to square one, and is ready to recreate a new multiverse. In fact, Tharizdun may in fact be creating a new multiverse right now in the former Oberynth universe, and we just don't know. But as far as anyone is concerned, he's trapped inside this massive crystal prison that was once guarded over by Asmodeus when he was a celestial. What is your favorite elemental-based creature? Demons. Clearly. Far Realm sounds like a generic 80s fantasy movie. Yuck and double yuck. Yeah. Wow, you guys are commenting real quick. I'm going to have to pop out the chat. Hang on. How did I not do this before? Normally it's the first thing I do. What is the most powerful Nautilus? What is the most powerful entity from the Far Realm, and what is the most powerful monster variety from it? We don't know what the most powerful entity in the Far Realm is. We haven't seen it yet. Yeah. There are probably living planes within the Far Realm. In fact, one of my theories is that things like grells and gricks, for instance, are parasites that come from a living plane. So they're where everything is alive. So you can imagine grells flying around inside a fluid substrate which has got bursts of titanic electrical nerve impulses and things, which is why they're immune to electricity. I mean, why else would grells be immune to electricity? What's that got to do with anything about grells, aside from some hint as to what place they came from in the first place? So creatures that can exist in acidic stuff and things like that. So I've come up with various monsters which may come from a place called a living realm, the living plane, the endless flesh. The Abyss is the universe's crazy murder neighbor. Yeah, it's kind of like the megaversal tapeworm. So Oberynth is like the Eldrazi from Magic the Gathering. Well, the Eldrazi are really crazy. Like, Eldrazi just don't make sense. So there's these entities that exist in an utter void. First of all, how? What? So do the Eldrazi live inside their own pocket dimension? Are they completely self-sustaining entities? Are they just pure thought that takes on whatever physical form they want to take? Or the fact that there's these distinct individual Eldrazi lords? Yeah, so in a way, I suppose Eldrazi are completely alien to any other form of life, and they come from somewhere else, and they exist in a void that nothing can live in. So, yeah. So I guess if you wanted to shoehorn them into an existing D&D type creature, that would be an Oberth, I suppose. But they really deserve to be in an entirely different category all of their own, which is dream creatures. Creatures that exist because they think, and they are. So can you kill an Eldrazi? No, I don't think so. You can trap an Eldrazi, which is what they did. But it took the vitality of an entire world to do so. I'd also love to see stats on the those triangular objects that amplified mana. That would be really cool. I'd love to see some lore on those. But you know, I'm just starting to dig into Magic the Gathering lore now, so don't ask me any real deep questions about it just yet, because my answers will no doubt be wrong until I learn more and build on my information and knowledge. And making videos about Magic the Gathering stuff is how I do that. So as I educate myself, I will pass on whatever information and attempt to educate everyone else. Yeah, Eldrazi are essentially dream creatures, but we're bound into flesh prisons by Ugin. Oh, Ugin the dream dragon. Kind of like an astral dragon in a way. Is there a codified list of who, what the dark powers of Ravenloft are, were, and what their domains consist of? Harker, Lucas, Domains of Dread, Shadow Rift, Sanguine Carnival, Dreadlord Plain, Settlements, Aslan Rex, Lord Soth, Vecna, Pocket Dimensions. So I have notes here on stuff that I need to get into for Ravenloft, but I haven't really got really deep into it yet. So again, I need to educate myself. No, Bud. Hey, yeah, you're kind of late. We're going to wrap up the stream pretty soon. I'd agree, Green Scythe. That's certainly one aspect of the Far Realm. I'm back for a moment. You never answered my question. How does a multiverse, literally infinite, there should always be some form of life? Also extending comment. Well, Danny, you're not really asking me a question, are you? So if you come up with a question, rather than stating an opinion at me and asking me to disagree with you or something, I don't know. Why don't you just calm down? There's 74 people in the room firing questions at me, man. Excuse me for missing some. Hi Fiona, bye Fiona. So yeah, I'm going to wrap it up, everybody, because I'm sweating to death here. It's getting real hot. If the cuckoo gods somehow destroyed the multiverse, what would happen to souls that would be destroyed, or would they just reincarnated? Also, what would Mr. Cuckoo do in the new multiverse? So the souls go somewhere else. Bye, Danny. Magic the Gathering is becoming pure lefty cancer now. Whatever. Maybe that's why they're handing it over to us. Thanks, we'll take it. Diversify. That's the key. Stop eating cheese, you're going to poop, man. Pop. Actually, I've lost 10 kgs in about a month, so whatever. I'll catch you later, everybody. It's time for me to go. Things to do, summer to have. 25 degrees Fahrenheit here. It's been a good stream. Once again, talking about galactic stuff. A lot more Magic the Gathering stuff, which is very interesting. I can see it starting to capture everybody's imagination. Peace out!